Welcome guys to the first episode of the Fish Online podcast. Today I will be speaking to Wayne Sinclair, owner at Sundowner Adventures. Join me in this conversation. Let's go. This episode was brought to you by Watamu. They have the most amazing fishing apparel, ideal for both fresh and saltwater. Go check them out. What's up guys, Andre here. This is the very first episode of our Fish Online podcast, and with me today I have Wayne Sinclair.
Hey
Wayne,
guys, Andre.
how are you doing?
Doing good.
Oh, amazing.
Always good to spend some time with you and Fish Online.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for allowing me to impose on your life. Taking some time.
It's value.
Yeah, awesome
Love it.
stuff.
Love it.
Awesome. Tell me quickly, when you have Sundowner Adventures, tell me, where did it start? How did it get to where it is today?
Awesome. Yeah, so there's Sundowner Adventures and Sundowner Fly Fishing Adventures, and it's like many other businesses that have, I think, managed to stand through the test of time. We're going for about 30 years now.
Amazing, yeah.
And yeah, we actually at the moment we're sitting in the cradle of humankind at Lanseria Country Estate, which is one of the bases for one of our Sundowner Fly Fishing Adventures venues. But it all started way back, 1995.
That's a while.
I was just coming out of, I'd gone into varsity and I'd always been encouraged by my folks to kind of do my own thing.
Yeah.
Which it's great for young people to actually test their mettle, but also if you get the opportunity to get groomed and grow and get experience, it's also good. So yeah, started as believe it or not, we were a Zimbabwe tour operator, which actually expanded out when my folks bought a lodge in the Zambezi, Sundowner Zambezi Lodge, and we just saw people coming through, and they were just doing that as part of the rest of the packages through Zim. So we basically expanded from starting with the marketing and things for that, offering in a whole lot of variety of different activities and experiences. But all good things at some stage come to a bit of a junction. And of course, Zim hit its political challenges and we had to look for something else to do. And we started up our small stream. At that stage, we didn't exactly know what we were doing, but we started up our little fly fishing operation in Magaliesburg. Good.
Yes.
Can you edit it?
It's a first live podcast, so we've got a guy in shot.
This is Felix, come introduce yourself.
We've got people walking around. Andre, nice.
Felix is the general manager here.
He's the general. No, it's 100%. It's okay.
No, you guys know it's authentic.
It's very authentic. That's unplanned. Just like a conversation between two guys. Like it.
Okay, so yeah, you don't want to know my whole life story, but essentially, I think the story behind this is that you can never take for granted where different things lead if you're prepared to be flexible and keep your eyes open, and especially at the center of it has always been a core of a love for the outdoors fishing and especially fly fishing. So, the Magalies side was basically getting into an opportunity which was fairly close to Joburg. You got clean water, and there's certain elements I think that you want to always look for. Because we live in a world where you don't always have lots of places with good quality water, decent fish, in a location where you can actually give people access to these things. And so, with that literally turned off from a place where it was another company that wanted to utilize it for the fishing. We cleaned it up. They took off to some other country. And we suddenly saw, okay, well, let's make use of it. And so, so people who know Magalies Barber's Haven and the Magalies River, that river you can drink the water out of it, and it's got small scale and large scale yellows. But the funny side of it is that my folks years ago, when you used to visit Vaterval for trout fishing, days before, if you go to places now, you got manicured lawns and it's lovely and you can fish along the edges. Those days it was rough and it was wild. And it was normally in winter, so it was freezing cold. I was a lighty. You're literally fishing, you should have one weight, two weights, and you're just struggling. And I actually gave up fly fishing for a couple of years because of that. And I started again when just before I went to varsity. So for the youngsters out there,
a season in there where it's like look, I don't want to do that again. I'm done.
When I'm involved with taking people for a lesson, I understand the pain. So if you felt like giving up before, don't give up. You know, sometimes just getting a bit more knowledge and getting a bit of guidance also just helps.
I think that's what the nice thing about having venues like these, right? So you guys have Oxbow at the moment, which is Bronchi's side.
That's it.
And then this one's situated here in Lansera, right? And it's almost, if you want to start out fishing, this is some of the ideal spots to do that. Why?
Agreed.
Because you're under the kind of eye of someone who could say, hey, listen, what if you try this? What if you do that? And it's a low barrier to entry for anyone to go like, hey, let me start off there, because 99.9% of the time, if you take someone out in the wild, like what we sometimes would say, hey, I want that experience because I enjoy it. I enjoy the hunt. 100%. I enjoy the rough and tough hiking to get, to that spot where you catch that fish. But if you take a first timer, he's probably going to be like, I'm done. I'm not doing that again. But just to get them hooked. And I think that's the market that I see in Sundowner Adventures. I don't know if I'm.
No, you're 100% right. We're almost like a grooming base. We've just from looking at this, there's a number of guides that are now with some of the top fly fishing companies who spent a little bit of time in there when they started out guiding with us. We do our kids fishing parties. We've got the introductory group clinics where a lot of it's white, Indian, black, purple, orange, who just want to try and experience it as an adventure, and then they find out they enjoy it. And then from there you can just move up the ladder to try the more adventurous stuff. And I think if you enjoy it, there's always a desire to want to explore more. But you need places which are not daunting. Like the two small dams here at Lansera. You can come here with someone that hasn't really fly fished a lot with kids, and you don't feel like you're not sure where to start, like on a big dam. But if you're experienced, you want to be able to get onto like a 20-acre dam where you can just find deep channels and you can you won't see another human being.
Start reading the water, start understanding what's happening around you. That's it. Feeling.
But don't get frustrated. Find something, and like with all things, KISS principle: keep it simple, stupid. And it's always a recipe for success.
There's a good kind of slogan: keep it simple, stupid. Listen, apart from Sundowner Adventures, what else do you do? You've been doing this now since you were pretty much a light. You had that little bit of a season in there, and then you've been gunning at this like full time for the last. 30 years? 30 years odd. But what else apart from Sundowner and the two kind of concessions that you have here? What else do you do?
Thanks. Awesome question. So I think one of the things that anybody that's involved with a special interest activity, you need to be able to make sure that you can focus and broaden on enough areas to be able to run it as a business, but also keep yourself interested. So I've maybe got this brain fart, if you want to call it that. This is a family show. But that's the worst the four letters will go. That there's a wonderful, I think, picture that you can actually use, especially in fishing and fly fishing, where you can apply what you learn in the processes into business, into life, and things like that. So, for instance, like with the corporate fly fishing team building, where you can get people that, again, they've never fished before, but you can utilize the strategy, the listening skills, the adult learning, which kids can do adult learning as well as kids. So in that case, suddenly now you're dealing with a slightly different market. But again, it's another way of actually utilizing this to be able to apply. And then, we also involved with doing a couple of trips, either guided or introducing people to different destinations. One thing is from a family perspective, I think it's important to keep your important things important. So you get to a certain stage as well where you're not single anymore. You've got family. You need to bring in other youngsters that can actually, manage and do trips. While you also, as a business owner, you've got to be responsible for managing the finances, the admin, all the other stuff. So I think everyone should realize that you also need to sort of try and have some kind of timeline that you want to use to apply this. So that's kind of where we tried to expand it into other areas that we can still use the fly fishing. But don't have to
in
use
as much as this is a thing built around a passion, there's this business side as well, like you said, that you kind of grow with and move, with all of that.
Yeah. You've spoken about, and I think it's a great, any sport, but especially fly fishing and golf, but we'll talk about fly fishing is a fantastic opportunity to network and connect with people, because when we get together in an environment where it's more relaxed, it's just people are more open, there's a trust. That's, if you want to see someone's best or worst side, go fly fishing with them. And have a tough day.
100%.
You will see a true side of people.
Once that little cold breeze starts gushing in your neck and the line is not doing what it's supposed to, the first line at the back there. No, it gets crazy. Tell us a bit about this place, because I see so many pieces of fly fishing history around me right now. It's just insane. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, I think the old theory of sometimes you need to look to your past to be able to look to the future. So here at our Sundowner Fly Fishing Adventures set up at Lansera Country Estate, this is now the Royal Fly Fishing Museum, which is in the main restaurant, the place to be. And this was created, and it's now one of the biggest collections on display of fly fishing memorabilia, and it's divided up into a whole bunch of sections here, where you've got fly fishing in Europe, you've got fly fishing in the States, you've got fly tying history. There's a ladies section, some very famous ladies, and also the linkage, because I think it's important that the sport is not a male orientated sport. It's open to everybody that finds a fascination and interest. So you can actually come around and you can walk through it and really spend a lot of time just, I think, delving into it. We had the Fly Fishing Film Festival here early in the year, which went down like an absolute bomb, and they're going to host it again here next year. But it's also, this doubles up, apart from the restaurant, which has got some delicious food, it's also great for a conference venue. But I think you can bring the kids. There's a kids section. You can come and spend a bit of time having a look around the museum, come and do some fishing, and you kind of wrap up a whole different, kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. But it's a little bit, it's kind of got really sort of English, Irish, Scottish feel. It's got low lighting, but it's got the fireplace going. Good place to come and have a glass of wine 100%. Or a little whiskey. Even the kids can have a milkshake. But I think if you want to have a look at something that's a little bit different, there's not really many places like this, and we're in the cradle of humankind as well. So it's not far from Pretoria, Joburg.
It's a day out for the family, or for the guy who just wants to come clear his mind. 100%. That's it. Stunning spot.
There's Wi-Fi, so if you want to bring your laptop and come and do a bit of work and slot in some fishing while you're doing that, we're talking to you who's busy.
Yes, I'm probably going to come do some work when I pop around this side. So got an excuse.
For sure. So the gentleman, just dedicating, this was created by a gentleman by the name of Dr. Kim Naidu, who's actually he's passed away now, but his legacy and things past remains with this.
Condolences to his family, and thank you for leaving us with something this rich. This is really stacked with stories and diversity and history, I think no other place in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
Very, very few places where this kind of variety. There's a few places, but there's nothing really to the extent.
A quick pit stop before we cast back into the conversation. If you're a brand looking to reach an audience of passionate anglers, weekend warriors, or just folks who love the great outdoors, this is your chance to jump on board. We're looking to partner with gear brands, lodges, tackle shops, biltong makers, you name it. If your product can fit in a boat, a backpack, or a cooler box, hit me up. All right, that's it for now. Let's head back to the conversation. Dave, but you've got a competition coming up at Oxbow, right?
Yeah.
In the next 2 weeks, and I've signed up for that, so that's going to be my first competition as well. But I would like for everyone joining in that competition and all the guys viewing who's going to visit Oxbow at some stage to kind of get behind what works and what doesn't work. So best is for Wayne to kind of give you guys some pointers as to what's gonna make your day fun and successful. So
tuning into this is probably one of the best things you did, even if it's just for this part of this.
Yes, there we go.
A couple of golden nuggets, and they call it a cheat sheet, because not everybody has access to this information. But I think it's a big part of it is, first of all, understanding the layout of the dams. As I say, it's a good idea to go and have a look at the previous video that Andre did with Fish Online. But the Oxbow venue is generally shallower dams. So a lot of people are normally used to fishing Delstrom or Midlands or stuff like that, fishing deep dams and just chucking out an intermediate or a sinking line with a woolly bugger or a streamer and just stripping this thing out of it. But the thing with dams that are a little bit shallow, it means you do have a bit more weed growth and a bit more structure. So it means that there is, especially there with the clean water and crystal clear, it means there's quite a nice variety of food for the fish. So given that different, that wide variety.
And at all times, they're pretty close to the surface.
And a lot of the time they're close to the surface. And even then, the dam's been turned after 3 meters, you're not deep.
And it's crystal clear.
So you have to just make sure that you approach the dam gently. That's one of your first things. Now with the competition, you've got 6 beats. So the first session is going to be the easiest, but then as well, you also have atmospheric changes and temperatures and wind and things like that. So it's always a good idea just to approach it, just check it. First of all, lines. Your floating line is going to be your best option. A slow sinking intermediate is going to be useful, but ideally, you're looking at probably earlier on, looking at, for instance, things like streamers, your buggers, your naturals like your papa roaches, your hamels. Don't go too light. We actually generally asking and recommending don't fish lighter than a 3X. We've got some big fish in there, up to like 3.5 kilos.
You recently stopped as well, and I saw some of the fish coming out.
Right.
If you haven't visited their Facebook page, you must go check it out. There's some freaking lunkers coming out.
100%. So, and then even a 1 kilo fish in that environment with that clean water and the food source is going to give you a rev for your money. So under normal circumstances, you don't want fish to break you off and be swimming around with flies. But in a competition, it's even more important that when you get to hook a fish, you actually want to try land. And this competition is not a professional competition. It's a fun competition. It's an amateur, but it's important just to apply some basics. Right equipment, the way that you approach it. If you can work on your casting, if you've got an opportunity, just a basic thing before you even get there, because now that you're fishing higher up in the water, it's easier for fish to actually pick up a bad cast, or a splash, or you stomping around on the side. So look at your streamers to sort of start off with. Then you want to have a look at, there will be areas where it's a little bit shallower than others, in which case, as long as you can keep your fly in the target area, so fishing a bung, or a hopper dropper, so that you can just keep that fly in the zone. If you're using heavier flies, obviously you want to use a bung. Otherwise, if there is wind blowing because of the game reserve and the grass and the farm, often you will have things like grasshoppers and things. So in that case, often a dry fly or even a hopper dropper is small, but is good. But your small flies, especially on your static nymphing, little like black PTNs, brown PTNs, your zebra midges. You can only fish 2 flies at a time. You cannot fly. You're not allowed to use egg patterns or squirmy wormies. So please just remember that. But then a blob, something similar is also going to generally work. But just be patient. Don't worry about what other people around you are doing. Just focus on your
thing,
on your section that you're fishing, and steer with your eyes. There is a wonderful culture around it. People do share information. You'll find that there's some very good fishers, there's some average fishers, but someone's not going to mind, if you just kind of have a chat and maybe what's working. You don't want to go and grill the person for it. But it's 6 sessions. You're never out of it, and you're never completely in it until the end.
That's good,
So you just got to keep up with it. Just keep a smile on your face. Just enjoy. Go out and fish for fun. If that is the best advice that I ever give anybody,
I think that should be the approach for everyone. To go 100%. Like, hey, don't go for the win. Don't go for the whatever it is. Just first enjoy it. And I think, in my experience, that's when I usually catch more fish than when I pressure myself to get it right. Or it becomes a...
Think about the Zambezi prize, afterwards. Don't necessarily need to think about, unless you suddenly just get a lack of energy, maybe you want that to inspire you. But, the other thing is, I think this year, with the first time there's going to be a team element. So the main prize are all based on the individuals, but the team element, we just thought would be fun, where some people have entered a full 4-man team. For those people that haven't, we're actually doing a random draw, where we actually create teams. So you get to know people, and all your points are going to count.
So networking there.
There's a little prize that's connected with it, but it's always nice to know, how's the teammate doing? People, some of you've never met, you might even know them from a bar or so, but if you have entered already, like you've got 2 people, there's 2 of you that you know, or 3 of you that you know, we're not going to split those 3 up. We'll add like an extra 1 or 2 people.
And if you're lucky, you're linked up with the Fish Whisperer, gives you all the... Listen, let's get the team going, guys.
Exactly. 100%. So, information is power, but information is also fun. So, that's it. You might be hooked up with some person who hasn't got a clue, and they might just have beginner's luck.
You don't know.
You can't read. You just gotta. No. You just gotta just.
Look, I'm super excited about that. Like I said, it's going to be my first competition.
Everyone will get an opportunity to fish on all the dams, because we do a random draw for the beat where you start, and then you move 6 places. So we've got 56 competitors. We were on 50. We got such a good response. We've just increased it a little bit. But you literally are going to move 6 places. That's going to give you opportunity to get some random spots. You'll get some good places. But 6 places over those couple of hours.
It's going to be equal for everyone. You're going to get the same chances as everyone else.
You can get trees, you can get open spaces.
100%. What's the entries look like for that? Do we still need a couple of guys joining in?
If you're interested, give us a shout. At the moment,
this is still in time though.
At the moment, we're fully booked. But we always find that we have 1 or 2 people that drop out or can't make it at the last minute. So if you're interested in sort of just popping onto the waiting list, there is an opportunity. Cool.
But for all the guys watching who will be there on the day, that was the good section for you to watch. We'll be sharing that in any case with all of you guys. Awesome stuff. That's good advice, Wayne. So what are some of the other opportunities for guys like me who want to join in on this amazing culture? How do we...
Okay, cool. So one of the things is also kind of expose people to different times of fly fishing where maybe there's a bit of mystery around it, in which case we've got our night fly fishing evening coming up. So the question that I had before we actually did the first one last year is, will trout feed at night? And we had such an interesting mix. We had people who said, just wait and see, you're going to get absolutely nothing. We've got other people that have said, you can do it.
That's the best bite.
That's, and also with full moon, because if you look at, generally, if you say to people, and we did this a lot of times with our tiger fishing trips, most people plan their trips when there's no moon compared to a full moon, because the theory is that do fish feed at night. So it was really interesting, and we found that initially the thing that was challenging wasn't getting fish to eat at night. It was trying to utilize and work on the response time on your strike because you have your sight element.
Yeah. Which is
we do a lot of visualization in our team building and stuff like that. But it's when you get on the water, you can't see your line, and you kind of use that element. So the first couple of takes, people were dropping fish because the fish was taken, and then, but as it went on, you actually found that your response time increased because you were actually relying on feel, so you sharpen up. And
your ear as well. I mean, if you could,
hearing.
100%.
So you're casting at night. You know, during the day you cast and you see the trees and things at night, but during the day, but at night you got the torch. So you don't want to fish with a torch on the water, but you get an idea of what's around you. And then when you're casting, your mind almost seems to create a visual memory of what's behind you. And people were not getting stuck in trees and things at night compared to the day. And you can feel the rod, you can feel the line.
Access a different part of the brain during the evenings, I'm telling you.
It is amazing. And we were getting fish on dry flies. We were like using deer patterns, deer mouse patterns and stuff like that. And we got bass and we got trout.
Oh wow, that's lekker.
So, you know, anybody that's got their theories about, especially brown trout eating mice, we proved that the theory is right. Brown trout will eat a mouse. So we've put the brown trout in last week, so they'll be there for the night. So so we start off with a nice dinner with a bit of red wine just to warm everyone up, and then we get on the dams. And I tell you what, by 10 o'clock you are breathing big plumes of freezing cold mist. But a little bit of sherry
down there
and stuff.
at Oxbow, it gets
minus
cold,
3, minus 4. So that's really cool. That's coming up, and then the other one is our distance casting and double haul masterclass. So most people want to be able to add a little bit more distance onto their casts. Drill down into the mystery of what is a double haul. How can you get more distance, cast faster, cast bigger flies? And that's been hosted by a friend of ours, Dirk. So we're going to have one of those at Lancera and one of those at Oxbow. So if you're in the West Rand, there's one of them here. And then we'll be doing, we're busy working on, hopefully we'll get Brett van Rensburg on a static nymphing morning, where we'll just unbundle the mysteries of fishing, static nymphing, washing lines, especially things for fishing shallower waters. So those are a couple of things that are just around the corner, which
that's amazing.
And there's a whole lot, but I think this is a good start for everybody. You guys can look at our website, and we'll also obviously have a chat with Andre. You know, let him know what's going on as well, because obviously we'd like to get him to join in. So
100%.
Cool.
Look, I think apart from all the things that we spoke about, I think I'm going to put some stuff in the description as well. I'll add links to all the different places where people can get in contact with you. Wayne, thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you for putting up the time. I am looking forward to being at that competition and enjoying it with the rest of the guys, and looking forward to what Sundowner Adventures is going to, do in the future.
Yeah, awesome. No, it's awesome, and it's good. Glad it's exciting to see what you guys at Fish Online are busy doing. Watch this channel. The guys are going big places.
It's going to go. Thanks a lot, man.
Awesome. Look after yourselves. Have fun. And most time, get a line in the water. You can't catch fish if the line's not in the water.
That's right, guys. Do that. Thank you, guys, for joining us on this very first episode of the Fish Online podcast. See you in the next one.